Let me share a little about my wife, Elise. Man, she used to live for the big screen. I'm talking all in, crazy about movies. If I wanted to brighten her day or smooth things over after a fight, all I had to do was say, "Hey, sweetheart, wanna hit the theater tonight?" Done. Mood fixed. But she wasn't into just any flick. Oh no, she had her preferences locked down. If it wasn't packed with wild action, heavy on the drama, or oozing romance, she'd pass. And if it starred guys like Vince Carver, Luke Harlan, or that heartthrob Cole Ramsey, she'd have the tickets booked before I could blink. I'll never forget our first date. Took her to see When Harry Met Sally at a little cinema in downtown Denver. Classic, right? She wasn't sold on Billy Crystal, said he had too much uncle at a barbecue vibe, but that story hit her hard. Years later, after we got hitched, she confessed, "That night's when I started falling for you." I chuckled then, still don't totally get why that movie sealed the deal, but I ain't arguing. Now, 12 years down the line, Elise is still a knockout, no exaggeration. 5'6", maybe 120 pounds, with curves that stop me dead when she's rocking her favorite jeans. That wavy auburn hair and those sharp hazel eyes? Lethal combo. When she gets all dressed up for a night out, it's like we're back in our 20s. People notice, guys gawk, women glance, and I just grin because she's with me. Name's Mason Caldwell, by the way. I hold my own, if I do say so. 6'1", 185, hitting the gym 4 times a week. Sandy brown hair, gray-blue eyes. Folks have said we look like we stepped out of some glossy lifestyle mag, happy, sharp, all warm lighting and perfect smiles. Back in college, before Elise, I did all right with the ladies, no lie. But the second I met her, everyone else just kinda vanished. We were freshmen at a state school in Oregon, hit it off like lightning, and that was that. For years later, right after we graduated, we tied the knot. I was sure she was my forever, my one and only, and I'd have bet my life she felt the same. We've got 2 little girls now, love them to death. But let's be real, trying to steal a moment alone with kids pounding on the door takes some serious ninja skills. You learn to snatch quiet moments, get creative, find joy in the rare calm. Anyway, tonight was supposed to be our night. Just us. Finally, we'd planned it all out, dinner, some dancing, a hotel room reserved in downtown Seattle. The grandparents took the girls, the planets aligned, and I was thinking music, cocktails, maybe a slow dance or two, and, well, some quality time later. It was a night to remember, alright, just not how I pictured it. We got to this club, and right away, something felt off. There was this weird vibe in the air. The women in our group seemed on edge, and one guy, Trevor, had this cocky smirk, like he knew something the rest of us didn't. We were out with 3 other couples, Neil and Marissa, Greg and Kara, and Trevor with his wife, Quinn. I genuinely like Neil and Greg. Neil's this chill software engineer, real dependable. Marissa's a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids, total chaos, but she always looks like she's got it together. Greg's a throwback, runs an HVAC business, straight-up honest guy. Kara, his wife, handles their finances and whips up killer mojitos. Now, Trevor and Quinn? Different deal. I put up with them. Quinn's decent, lively, fun to be around. But Trevor? He's got this smug, know-it-all attitude, always tossing out names like he's somebody important. Says he's in the movie biz, claims he's a producer, but it feels more like an Instagram flex than the truth. Quinn, though, she's the real breadwinner, big-time medical sales rep, she calls the shots, no question. But Elise and Quinn go way back, college roommates, tight as ever, so I bite my tongue and play nice with Trevor. I work in investments, a big firm in Portland. Started small, grew my client base, and now I've got more accounts than I can juggle. Company policy is once you hit a certain level, you train a newbie and pass off your smaller clients. I've done that a couple times now, keep the big fish, let the rookies scrap for the rest. It's a solid setup, no complaints. Elise used to work as an assistant to Roger Klein, a hotshot exec at a credit union in Spokane. When the girls came along, she took a break to stay home. Then, out of nowhere, Roger, now the head honcho, called her up, asking if she'd come back part-time. She ran it by me, and I said, go for it. You need something for you. And no, before anyone even thinks it, there's no funny business. Roger's, what, 65? Quiet, balding, crazy about his wife and their 6 kids. Guy's practically a saint, so not even a worry. back to the club. The vibe was weird, but I brushed it off. I was ready to dance, have fun with my wife. We split up inside, everyone saying hi to friends, grabbing drinks. I ran into an old college buddy, Wes Harmon, and his wife, Lila. We were catching up when the DJ dropped something slow, kinda sultry. I glanced over to find Elise, ready to pull her onto the dance floor, when I noticed heads turning toward the entrance. The music kept going, but a buzz ran through the crowd. People started murmuring, pulling out their phones. Something big was happening. Lila grabbed Wes's arm, whispering, "Holy crap." Wes looked confused. "What?" She nodded toward the door. "Don't you know who that is?" We both turned. All I saw was this guy, maybe 5'7", slick back hair, sharp suit, strutting like he owned the place. Wes shrugged. "Who's that?" Lila hissed, "That's Cole Ramsey." She leaned in. "And if he's here, maybe Lena Vaughn is too." "They're everywhere, Instagram, streaming shows, late-night talk shows. Hollywood's golden couple." Wes smirked, elbowing me. "Man, if Lena's here, she's a straight-up 12 out of 10. Lila rolled her eyes, smacking his arm. "Keep it in your dreams, buddy." Then it hit me. Cole Ramsey. Elise's all-time celebrity crush. She's seen every single one of his movies, even the terrible ones. I thought, maybe I'll grab a quick photo for her, maybe an autograph. Didn't need to. Cole strolled right up to our table, flashed that $1 million grin, and asked my wife to dance. And Elise? She hopped up like a kid at a concert, all smiles, and went with him. No pause, no glance my way, nothing. They danced through 3 songs, 3. I stood there, fists balled, watching the woman I love twirl around with the guy she's been obsessed with since college. My jaw was tight, my eyes glued to her, laughing, dancing, like I wasn't even there. Not a single look in my direction. "No, you cool with this?" By the 4th song, I was done. I stormed back to our table, dropped into a chair, and stared. Still nothing from her. Just her and that pretty boy Cole, acting like I didn't exist. I was about to march over and cut in, no question. I didn't yank Elise off the dance floor, though every fiber of me wanted to. Right then, Trevor, that smug jerk, fumbled his drink like a total klutz, sending it crashing to the floor. Glass sprayed everywhere, and he flopped around trying to clean it up. "Yo, Mason, gimme a hand, man," he whined, holding up his finger like he'd just lost it. There was a trickle of blood, barely anything. I shot a look at Elise, still twirling with Cole like they were at some high school formal. I should have stormed over, made a scene, but instead, like an idiot, I followed Trevor to the restroom. Inside, I checked his so-called wound. A tiny nick, not even worth a Band-Aid. "Are you kidding me with this?" I grumbled, tossing him some paper towels. "Thought it was bad," he said with that stupid grin of his. I shoved the towels into his hand, wiped the blood off, and bolted back out. But when I hit the club floor, Elise was gone. I caught a flash, her auburn hair, her laugh, slipping out the front door with Cole. I took off after them, Trevor hot on my heels, which was already ticking me off. We burst into the parking lot, and there it was, Elise sliding into Cole's sleek convertible like she was born for it. Then that clown kissed her hand, all old-school romantic, and she giggled. Before I could move, Trevor tripped me, sending me crashing to the pavement. My palms burned as they scraped the asphalt, but I was back on my feet in a second. "What the hell, man?" I roared, ready to deck him. Trevor just smirked. "Chill, Mason. Cole's just taking your wife for a quick ride." My blood boiled, my whole body buzzing with rage. Then Quinn popped up out of nowhere, all smug. "This is Elise's dream night," she said, like she'd just won a prize. "She's always had a thing for Cole, so we hooked it up." I stared, dumbfounded. "Are you serious right now?" My voice broke, fury spilling over. "She's my wife, and nobody thought to clue me in that she's off living some fantasy with another guy?" Trevor shrugged, still grinning like it was a big joke. "She said you'd lose it, so we figured it's smoother this way. Just roll with it, dude." "Roll with it?" I saw red. "Screw your roll with it," I snapped, and swung. My fist connected with his nose, a sickening crunch echoing like a snapped twig. He hit the ground, clutching his face and wailing. That should have been it, but Quinn went berserk, screeching and swinging at me like a wildcat. Thank God for Wes. He jogged over and pulled her back like she was a kid throwing a tantrum, plopping her on the curb. He attacked my husband. Call the cops. Quinn shrieked, voice piercing the night. Wes stayed cool as ice. Nah, I saw it all, he said. They came at him first. Mason was just protecting himself. Quinn dialed 911 anyway, acting like I'd committed murder. Cops showed up about 10 minutes later, lights flashing but no sirens. They started asking questions, jotting down notes with serious faces. Wes laid out what happened, and I chimed in, explaining how Trevor tripped me before it all went down. A few bystanders who'd spilled out of the club backed us up, saying they saw Quinn lunging at me while I tried to walk away. In the end, the cops slapped cuffs on Trevor and Quinn, hauling them off for assault. When the chaos settled, I felt like I'd been hit by a truck, emotionally wrecked. I dragged myself back to our table. Marissa and Kara were still there, sipping their drinks like it was just another night. Marissa glanced up. Where'd everyone go? I gritted my teeth. Trevor and Quinn got arrested. Assault charges. And Elise? She took off with Cole, looking like she was on cloud nine. Kara's face tightened. That's not how it was supposed to go. I thought she was just stepping out for a quick pic, you know, something to post online, then back. I let out a bitter chuckle. Yeah, well, it seems Elise and Quinn had a whole plan they didn't share. I stood. I need a drink. I headed to the bar, and Wes caught up as I nursed a bourbon. You holding up, man? He asked, concerned in his eyes. I stared into my glass. I don't even know what's going on, Wes. I'm just hoping she's cruising around with Mr. Movie Star and shows up soon, 'cause when she does, we're having a real talk. Wes paused, then leaned closer. Look, Mason, I hate to say it, but Lila mentioned something about Cole. Guy's got a reputation. Likes to chase married women, like it's his thing. Not saying Elise isn't on that, but, just be ready. My gut twisted, nausea hitting hard, but I nodded like I had it under control. Thanks, man. I'll deal with it. Before heading back, I pulled out my phone and dialed Elise. Straight to voicemail, not even a ring. Back at the table, the vibe was all wrong. The women looked guilty, like they'd been caught sneaking cookies. The guys were fuming, arms crossed, not saying a word. I kept calling Elise, over and over. Nothing. Eventually, Neil and Marissa, and Greg and Kara, decided to head to the hotel. I told them I'd stick around a bit, just in case Elise showed back up. I waited another half hour. No sign of her. No call, no text, just dead air. Finally, I gave up, grabbed my jacket, and headed to the hotel in downtown Tacoma. I sat on the edge of the bed, calling her every 10 minutes like a desperate fool, until almost 3:30 a.m. Still nothing but voicemail. At some point, I lost it, checked out, and drove home to our place in a quiet suburb outside Salem. I stumbled in around 4:30, collapsed on the couch, and passed out. Next thing I knew, morning light was slicing through the curtains. It was 7 a.m. when I jolted awake on the couch, heart pounding, hoping Elise had slipped in while I was out cold. I checked the bedroom, empty. Grabbed my phone, no texts, no missed calls, just a big fat nothing. I slumped at the desk, fired up my laptop, and logged into Instagram. That's when it slammed me like a freight train. Photos everywhere. Elise and Cole, hand in hand, strolling out of the club in Tacoma, grinning like kids on a first date. Paparazzi snaps of them climbing into his car, then at his swanky place in Bellevue. His arm draped around her, ushering her inside like she was his. My wife, in his arms. I scrolled through some gossip sites, and they were losing it, headlines screaming, Cole's new flame, mystery married woman and Hollywood's bad boy strikes again. My stomach churned. I wanted to yell, smash something, maybe put a fist through the drywall to let out the storm raging inside. Instead, I snatched my phone and dialed my lawyer. It was Saturday, so it went to his home line. He answered, voice thick with sleep, clearly annoyed, but when I laid out what was happening, he snapped awake. Mason, he said, all business now. I know you're furious, and I don't blame you, but don't do anything stupid. Wait till she's back. Let her try to explain, then we'll figure out the next step. You with me? I clenched my jaw. Yeah, all right, I muttered, but inside, I was already cracking. The front door creaked open around 11:30. Elise walked in like it was just another Tuesday, all smiles, hair a little messy, like she'd had the night of her life. Her eyes met mine, and that grin vanished fast. Mason, hold on, she started, voice shaky, high-pitched. Nothing happened, I swear. We just talked, that's all. I know I should have checked with you, but you always shut things down. I knew you'd flip. Cole's my favorite actor, you know that. Last night was like something out of a movie, but I didn't do anything wrong. I love you, not him. I stood slowly, voice low and sharp as a blade. You done spinning stories? I said. Good. Now pack your stuff and get out. Her jaw dropped. What? Are you for real right now? I stepped closer, eyes burning. Dead serious. I don't want your excuses. I don't want to see your face. I want you gone before I do something that gets me locked up. Jesus, Mason, she shot back, you're throwing me out over one night? You're acting like I betrayed you. Acting? I growled. You hopped into some sleaze's car, spent the night at his place, and now you're standing here feeding me fairy tales. What is this, a rom-com for cheaters? Her face went pale, but I didn't stop. I wanted my words to sting. You made a fool of me in front of everyone. Everyone. There are photos, Elise, plastered all over the internet of you giggling like a fangirl, climbing into Cole Ramsey's car. Now I get to watch it blow up on every garbage website out there. You humiliated me. You humiliated our daughters. What were you thinking? I wasn't, she mumbled, voice breaking. No kidding, I snapped. Tears filled her eyes. I messed up, Mason. I thought once you cooled off, we could talk like grown-ups. I didn't mean to hurt you. Hurt me? I scoffed. You didn't mean anything. You wanted the spotlight, to play Cole's little sidekick for a night. You knew exactly what you were doing when you got in that car. You just didn't think you'd have to face the consequences. She started sobbing, hard. Please, don't do this in front of the girls. Can we just, oh, now you care about the girls? I cut her off. You weren't thinking about them last night when you were out playing movie star girlfriend. You want them growing up thinking this is how marriage works? Run off with your celebrity crush while I sit at home looking like an idiot? That broke her. She crumpled, shoulders shaking, tears streaming. I brushed past her like she was nobody, stormed into the bedroom, yanked open the closet, and started tossing her clothes into a suitcase, not caring where they landed. Stop, I'll do it, she whispered, voice barely audible. Good. Hurry up, because if you're still here in 10 minutes, I'm dumping your stuff in the front yard and locking the door. She dragged the suitcase from me, hands trembling, and packed the rest. I didn't help, didn't say a word, just stood there, arms crossed, like a guard watching garbage get hauled out. I waited until she stepped through the front door before slamming it shut behind her, the sound echoing through the house. I stood by the window, making sure she left. She tossed her bag in the trunk, slid into the driver's seat, and just sat there, forehead pressed against the steering wheel, crying. And you know what? I didn't feel a shred of pity. Not then. I was too pissed. About 20 minutes later, she finally started the car and pulled out of the driveway. The second she was gone, I grabbed my phone and called my folks. Hey, something went down, I said, trying to keep my voice even. Can you keep the girls a bit longer? If Elise shows up asking, just say I've got them handled. They didn't pry, just agreed. Now it was just me, alone in our house outside Salem, the silence screaming louder than ever. I paced, trying to piece together what the hell had happened. Elise kept swearing nothing went down with Cole, but my gut was yelling something else entirely. Could I get past this if Elise was telling the truth? Maybe if it had stayed quiet, just between us and our buddies, I could have found a way to move on. But it didn't. The whole thing blew up online, and now it felt like the entire world was in on my humiliation. I couldn't see a path forward. Part of me wanted revenge, but I didn't even know where to begin. So, I just drifted through the house like a lost soul, slamming fists into walls, shouting at nothing, crying until my throat burned. I felt gutted, powerless. I knew I couldn't touch Cole Ramsey, he's Hollywood royalty, untouchable. But Elise? If she wanted out, I'd drag her to court and fight tooth and nail for full custody of the girls. Divorce would hit my wallet hard, no doubt, but I'd make it work. I could work from home, stay close to the kids. Truth is, I was the steadier parent anyway, hands down. Elise probably didn't even realize her reckless night could cost her the girls, but thinking about what a divorce would do to them, that nearly broke me. Around 1:30 p.m., I was making another pot of coffee, hands still shaky, when my phone buzzed. So far, no journalists had sniffed out my number, but I knew it was coming. Yeah? I answered, voice flat as a board. Hi, is this Mason Caldwell? Elise's husband? A woman's voice, steady, composed. I bristled. If you're a reporter, save it. I'm not talking. She let out a soft chuckle, not smug, more like she got my anger. No way, I can't stand reporters either, she said. I blinked. Alright, then who's this? Her tone dropped, quieter now. I'm Lena Vaughn. You might know my fiancé, Cole Ramsey. That hit like a punch. Yeah, I growled, I know that jerk. I wasn't sure what she wanted, but I was already over it. Then she threw me a curveball. Do you still love your wife? I froze. Not what I expected. I exhaled slowly. Yeah, crazy as it sounds, I do. But after this mess, I don't know if there's anything left to salvage. I can't get past what she did, or what I think she did. There was a pause, then she said, what if I told you there's a chance to fix this? Maybe save your marriage and patch things up with me and Cole too? My pulse kicked up, and I sat down, head spinning. I want that, I admitted, but I don't see how it's possible. She gave a small, sad laugh. Cole and I went way back, grew up together in broken homes. His dad was a serial cheater, and his mom, she had no love for men, none for Cole either. Nothing he did was ever enough. I think he chases married women to fill that void she left. She took a breath. My family was a wreck too, alcoholic mom, violent dad. Cole was my safe haven. Then his mom got up and moved him away. I cried for months. We reconnected years later, both of us famous by then. I'd heard the rumors about him, women, scandals, but when we met again, it was like no time had passed. We fell hard, got engaged. He swore the married woman thing was over. When I asked about Elise, he said nothing happened. Elise said the same, I cut in. That was just talk. But I don't know what to believe. Same here, Lena replied. Knowing Cole, bringing a woman to his place and not making a move? Doesn't add up. But weirder things have happened, right? She went quiet for a beat, then pushed on. I'm working on the assumption something did happen. I want Cole to feel the sting of what he did to me, just like I want Elise to face what she did to you. And you think that'll fix our relationships? I asked, skeptical. Maybe, she said honestly. If we're both willing to try, it's worth a shot. At the very least, it puts us back in control. I'm listening, I said. How do we pull this off? Not alone, she replied, voice firm. You and me, we do this together. Together? I was thrown. What can I even do? I've got no leverage here. That's where you're wrong, Lena said, her tone sharpening. Step 1, you crack the door open to talk with Elise. Nothing big, just small steps towards some kind of truce. I'll do the same with Cole. In a couple weeks, 3 tops, let her move back in, but just for show. I'll let Cole back in too. Here's the kicker, you don't touch her, no matter what. Keep your distance. I'll let you know when the time's right. When it is, we'll all sit down for dinner, the 4 of us, and I'll roll out the rest of the plan. I laughed, half in disbelief. You want me to let her back in my house after all this? Exactly, Lena said. Because when she's back, we take the reins. We hit them where it hurts, not just emotionally, but deep in their heads. We show them what betrayal feels like. Maybe it'll be the wake-up call they need. I didn't have any better plans. Hell, I didn't have any plans at all. So, I took a deep breath and said, all right, Lena, I'm in. First thing, I called my parents. Hey, I said, trying to sound normal, I'll swing by in about half an hour to pick up the girls. No big explanation, they already sensed something was wrong. Everyone did. The news about Elise and Cole had spread like a brush fire. Then I called my assistant, Tara. The second she answered, I could tell she knew. I heard, she said softly. I'm so sorry, Mason. Anything I can do, just say it. I thanked her, told her I'd work from home for the next week. She's a pro, always has my back. Then came the tough call, Elise's parents. Her dad picked up, voice heavy with shame. Mason, I don't know what to say, he mumbled. We saw the news. It's awful. When I asked if Elise was there, he sounded almost relieved. Yeah, I'll get her. A moment later, her voice came through, small and trembling. I'm so sorry, Mason, she kept saying, tears choking her words. I want to come home. Can we talk, please? I kept my cool. Look, Elise, we need some space right now. I'm working from home next week. You're still going Monday through Wednesday, right? She sniffled. Yeah, okay. All right, I said. I'll keep the girls until Wednesday. You pick them up tonight, and we'll talk then. I'm grabbing them tonight, Sunday. Let's keep it straightforward. Elise broke down again, voice cracking. Mason, please, I want to come home now. Don't you want us to be a family again? I took a deep breath, steadying myself. I thought we were a family, Elise, but right now, I don't know what we've got left. Let's talk Wednesday, 5 o'clock. I picked up the girls, told them their mom was staying with their grandparents for a few days. They fired off a million questions, as kids do, but I sidestepped most of them. When we rolled into a Burger King in a quiet corner of Eugene, the questions stopped. Those kids' meals worked like a charm. They tore through the play area for a couple hours, maybe more, giggling like the world was still a happy place. We ate dinner there, just the three of us, and for a moment, it felt almost normal. Then we got back to our place in Salem. The phone rang as I fumbled with the front door key. Unknown number. I hesitated but answered. Mr. Caldwell, a voice said. Care to comment on your wife's alleged affair with Cole Ramsey? I hung up without a word. The landline kept ringing every 5 minutes, same number, same nonsense. I finally ripped the cord out of the wall and let it go silent. Around 6 p.m., my cell buzzed. Elise. I stared at the screen, sighed, and picked up. What's your problem? She snapped. Why aren't you answering the phone? Because I'm not feeding quotes to gossip vultures who want dirt on your late-night joyride with Cole Ramsey, I shot back, voice like ice. There's no affair, Mason, she hissed. I told you, nothing happened. Yeah? Then maybe tell the rest of the world, because the tabloids didn't get your memo. Silence. Just dead air from her end. Then, softly, can I talk to the girls? I handed the phone to our oldest, Mia, without a word and sat there, listening. They chattered about fries and toys like their world hadn't just imploded. Then Mia passed the phone back. Mom wants to talk, she mumbled. I put it to my ear. Mason, please, can I come home? No, I said, firm. I need time, and you need to sit with what you did. Wednesday. She showed up an hour early, of course. Couldn't follow one simple instruction. The girls squealed, Mommy, from the living room. Elise breezed in like everything was fine, all hugs and kisses, piling on the sweetness. Then she came toward me, tried to lean in for a kiss. I stepped back, and she froze, the fake warmth draining from her face. So, this is how it's gonna be now, she said, voice sharp. I shrugged. If it is, maybe I should just take the girls and leave. Her eyes went wide, panic flashing. No, don't say that. We need to talk. Please, sit down. The girls scampered off to pack, Elise telling them they were headed to their grandparents' place. She waited until they were out of earshot, then sat across from me at the kitchen table. What do we do now? She asked, voice low, like she was scared of my answer. I wish I had a clue, I muttered, leaning back in my chair. Right now, I'm pissed off. I'm humiliated. The whole world's pointing and laughing, like I'm the poster child for clueless husbands. Elise's hands started trembling. I screwed up, Mason. I love you. I'll do anything to make this right. I crossed my arms, staring right through her. It's not that easy. You didn't just mess up, Elise. You torched everything we've built and grinned while it burned. You know what I'm dealing with now? Strangers calling me a fool online. Coworkers whisper when I walk by. You turned me into a punchline. She started crying, full-on sobbing. I didn't mean to hurt you. I got caught up. It was Cole Ramsey, okay? I was starstruck. I thought you'd be mad, sure, but not like this. I let out a sharp, bitter laugh. Well, you got your big celebrity moment. Congrats. Now we're stuck with the wreckage. I paused, letting the silence bite, then laid it out. I talked to a lawyer. Her head snapped up, eyes wide with fear. What? Don't panic yet, I lied. I'm not saying it's over. But if it comes to divorce, I'm going for full custody, and I'm not bluffing. You can't take my girls, she stammered, voice breaking. I'm not taking anything, I said. You gave them up the moment you splashed your name all over the internet. You think a judge will side with the mom who ran off with a movie star over the dad who stayed home with the kids? Please, don't do this, she begged, hands gripping the table. I'll do anything. I just want us back. We'll talk, I said, voice flat. Lunch, Sunday, when you bring the girls back. Her face twisted. What if I decide they're staying with me? This back and forth isn't good for them. I leaned in, eyes hard. You try that, and I'll file tomorrow. No hesitation. And you better hope the judge doesn't have daughters, because if he sees what you pulled, you'll be lucky to get supervised visits. All the fight drained from her. Her shoulders slumped, lips trembling. I don't want a divorce, she whispered. By the start of the second week, I decided it was time to head back to the office in Portland. My team greeted me with quiet support, no prying, which I appreciated, a real professional kind of respect. But of course, there were a couple of knuckleheads who didn't get the memo. A couple of clients, just two, thank God, thought the whole mess with Elise and Cole was some kind of stand-up routine. They'd toss out little jabs, smirking like they were clever. One even had the nerve to say, "So, you cut your fees when a movie star's in the picture?" I gave them a warning, told them to knock it off, nice and calm. But they kept at it, so I shut it down. Look, I said, voice cold as steel, we're done here. Your accounts are being reassigned. Someone else will manage your money. Suddenly, they were all apologies, backtracking like crazy, but I wasn't having it. Once respect's gone, it's gone for good. Word spread fast around the office in Portland. After that, nobody dared mention Elise or Cole again. That afternoon, around 2 o'clock, my phone buzzed. Lena Vaughn. You free tonight, Mason? She asked, straight to the point. Not a planned, I said, curiosity piqued. Good. You're having dinner with me. At Vespera in downtown Seattle. 7 sharp. Wear a suit, not some banker on a budget look. Then she hung up, no questions, no waiting. Vespera? That place was the stuff of legends. Reservations booked out a year, and the wine list alone could wipe out a middle-class savings account. I showed up at 7 o'clock, dressed sharp in a tailored suit. The host gave me a nod, like I'd passed some unspoken test, and led me to a private room in the back. Soundproof, soft lighting, 1 table for 2, set up like something out of a high-end magazine. A plush velvet couch sat off to the side, and I couldn't help but wonder how many bad choices had been made on that thing. 5 minutes later, the door opened, and Lena walked in like she owned the whole damn restaurant. I stood, and for a second, I forgot how to breathe. She was stunning, maybe 5'4", chestnut hair cascading down, warm amber eyes, and a dress that hugged her like it was custom-made. But it wasn't just her looks. It was the way she carried herself, like the room rearranged itself to fit her presence. She flashed a smile, not flirty, not fake, just real, and I couldn't wrap my head around how Cole Ramsey could ever step out on a woman like her. She slid into the seat across from me, all grace. Can I call you Mason? She asked. I nodded. Yeah, and you're just Lena, right? She let out a soft laugh, like a breeze through chimes, and I found myself smiling without meaning to. We ordered drinks, settled in. She asked about my job, and I gave her the short version, but soon I was rambling about my girls' antics or embarrassing high school stories. She laughed at all the right spots, the kind of laugh that makes you forget your life's falling apart, even just for a moment. Dinner came and went, then she leaned back, swirling her wine with a gentle flick of her wrist. All right, she said, voice quieter but sharp, time to get real. I met her gaze, ready. Have you ever heard of Trent Varner? She asked, one eyebrow raised. That threw me. Yeah, that sleaze who set this whole thing up. Says he's some film agent, but he's more like a matchmaker for affairs. Finds restless wives, fame-chasing guys, and hooks them up with stars who don't give a damn about the fallout. Sets up the game, lets them play, and cashes out. Trust me, I know, I said, jaw tight. I didn't even know what he did exactly, but I got a few good swings in before the cops showed up. Her eyes lit up. You laid him out? Damn right. She grinned. That just made my night. Her tone shifted, just a touch. Look, don't come down too hard on Elise. Cole's got this charm, he could sweet-talk a saint into trouble. I've seen it. Elise isn't the first married woman he's pulled in. But if I have my way, she'll be the last. I leaned forward. So, what's the plan? She gave me a look, playful, but with weight. Before we dive into revenge, I just want to say, you're a solid guy, Mason. And not bad-looking either. I don't know how Elise fumbled this, but if we'd met under different circumstances, I might have taken a shot. I smirked, caught off guard but flattered. That's kind of you, but we're from different universes. Still, you're not just gorgeous, you're something else. She tilted her head, smiling. Maybe we're from different worlds. Doesn't change that I find you pretty damn attractive. I didn't know how to respond, so I just nodded. Alright, so what's next? She sipped her wine, then laid it out. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm becoming one of your clients. That threw me. Wait, a client? Yup, she said. You're a financial advisor, right? I'm investing with you. Legit business, nothing shady. But it means we'll meet 4 times, twice at your office, twice over lunch. I picked the spots. I blinked. To open an account, you need at least 10 grand. She smirked. Oh, I'm dropping way more than that. I raised an eyebrow. And Elise doesn't find out. Exactly, she said. You keep up the reconciliation act with her. Be kind, but distant. No intimacy, no deep heart-to-hearts. Then, in 2 weeks, let her move back in, just physically, nothing more. I nodded slowly. And then? October 15th, she said, like she'd memorized it. There's a charity gala, black tie, in downtown Seattle. I helped found it years ago. I wasn't gonna go this year, but now I am. And you're coming with Elise. I exhaled. Those tickets cost, what, 20 grand a pop? Don't worry, she said, that smile creeping back. I've got you covered. I still don't get it, I said, tension creeping into my voice. How does this fix anything? Lena's smile turned sly, like she'd been waiting for the question. Well, Mason, part of the night includes an escort auction, she said, sipping her wine. I blinked. Escort auction? She laughed, waving off my assumption. Not that kind. It's for charity. Women bid on men, mostly bachelors, and the winner gets their guy for the evening. All in good fun, supposedly. The winner slips a velvet collar on the guy, and for the rest of the night, he's hers, Lena said, her laugh light but knowing. Some married guys even sign up. Adds a little spice for the wives. Sometimes she wins him, sometimes she doesn't. Let's just say if a husband gets claimed by someone else, he's sleeping with one eye open. I raised an eyebrow. So you're saying this year, one married guy's getting bought, and his wife won't be the one holding the winning bid? Lena nodded, her smile sharpening. You got it. And after that? Well, it won't be a kid-friendly show. I must have looked lost because she reached over, patted my hand like I was missing the big reveal. That guy's you, Mason, she said softly. And I'm the one winning you. So here's the deal, rent a tux, buy Elise a new dress, and show up at the gala as my guest, without her knowing that part yet. That's when it clicked, and damn, it was brilliant. Cole and Elise were about to get a taste of their own medicine, a front row seat to betrayal. Sure, it was all for show, but one night with me on Lena's arm, looking like something scandalous, would turn the tables. The shame wouldn't be mine anymore, it'd land right on them. Elise would finally feel the burn of humiliation I'd been carrying since that night at the club. Maybe then we'd have a chance to rebuild, maybe even talk to a counselor, start fresh if there was anything worth saving. The next few weeks zipped by. When Lena first walked into my office in Portland, the whole place went quiet. My assistants stared like they'd spotted a celebrity in the flesh. She didn't demand attention, she just had it, like gravity. Our lunch meetings were always at quiet, upscale spots, different every time, tucked away in places like Bend or Vancouver. I didn't get why we needed the secrecy, we could have handled it all at the office. But honestly, we spent most of those lunches swapping stories, our pasts, our screw-ups, our dreams. Lena wasn't just a Hollywood star. She was real, raw. She opened up about Cole, how much she loved him, how it'd crush her if they didn't make it. But she was clear, if he kept playing games, she was out. A week before the gala, I let Elise move back into our house in Salem. We agreed to go slow. I told her I'd be crashing in the guest room, and she didn't push back. You could see the pain in her eyes, but I wasn't ready to play comforter. Then, on the Wednesday before the event, I came home with 2 gala tickets. Elise's face lit up like it was her birthday. She started babbling about all the stars who might be there, practically bouncing with excitement. Then she paused, frowning. Hold on, how much did these cost? Relax, I said, keeping it cool. Didn't pay a cent. A client hooked me up. Thought it'd be a fun night. She beamed. I can't believe we're going to that gala. Oh, and by the way, I added, tossing it out casually, get a new dress. Something classy, maybe a little sexy. She looked like she'd won the jackpot, floating in some dream world. For a second, I felt a twinge of guilt. Then I remembered that night I thought would be magical, only to watch her walk off with Cole. This wasn't revenge, it was justice. When we pulled up to the gala in downtown Seattle, the place was buzzing, probably 500 people packed in. The air dripped with wealth and fame. Right by the entrance was a sign-up table for the auction, with a line of guys in sharp suits, all looking like they stepped out of a movie. I nudged Elise. What do you think? I said, nodding toward the table. It's for charity, and we didn't pay for the tickets. What if I sign up, and you bid on me? She laughed, but it sounded tight, nothing like Lena's easy, natural chuckle. I didn't bring any cash, she said. My purse barely fits my phone. No worries, I said, prepared. I pulled out $5,000 in cash from my pocket and handed it to her. Here. It's for a good cause. Start with at least $200, but you've got plenty if it climbs. She flashed a wide, flattered smile and tucked the money into her clutch. I stepped into the line. When I reached the front, I filled out the form like the others. There were maybe 20 names already listed. If Lena hadn't set this up, I'd never have had the nerve to do it. As I turned to leave, the woman at the table asked, "Are you married?" I nodded. She handed me another form. Your wife needs to sign this too. It's required for married participants. I waved Elise over and explained. She scribbled her signature without even glancing at the fine print. What she didn't know, and what I didn't mention, was that by signing, she'd given permission for me to do whatever the winning bidder asked, no limits. With the forms done, we found our table. Lena had pulled some serious strings. We were seated with a couple of up-and-coming actresses, a big-shot talk show host, and 2 daytime TV stars. Elise was practically glowing, her eyes darting around the room, soaking in the celebrity overload like a kid at a theme park. Then the auction kicked off. They started calling guys up one by one. I leaned over, gave Elise a quick smile, and stood when my turn came. Lena had timed it perfectly. I was the last of 24 names, right where she wanted me. By the time I hit the stage, they'd already raised over $350,000. The crowd was electric, fueled by laughter, tension, and too much champagne. Our final contestant's a local guy, the host boomed, some cheesy game show type with a megawatt smile and a voice made for commercials. Give it up for Mason Caldwell. He's married, dad of 2, and I bet his wife's out there clutching her cash, ready to outbid the whole room. Let's start the bidding at $50, the host called out. Come on, he's worth at least 100, a silver-haired woman in the front row shouted, clearly having the time of her life. I grinned. I can scrub dishes like a pro. The crowd roared with laughter. Another woman, older, piped up, already better than my husband. I'll go 200. The bids came fast, 300, 500. Then I heard Elise's voice, wobbly but loud. 1,000. Cheers erupted, like it was some fairy tale moment. But before I could blink, a younger, confident voice cut through. 2,000. Things escalated quickly, $5,000, then 10. Elise's eyes darted around the room, panic creeping in. I gave her a little shrug, like this wasn't my call. 15,000, someone else yelled. My stomach nodded. I knew this was Lena's plan, but damn, it was spiraling. 20, 25. Then, from the back, a voice I recognized, cool, unshaken. 100,000. The room went dead silent, like someone hit pause. Heads turned as Lena Vaughn glided toward the stage, looking like she'd stepped out of a film reel. She flashed a radiant smile. And for the record, I don't care if he can do dishes. The place exploded. I felt my face heat up. Lena stepped forward, snapped the velvet collar around my neck, and leaned in for a soft, perfectly timed kiss. Then, as planned, I walked off the stage with her, heading straight for the table where Elise sat, frozen, her face a mix of shock, shame, and pain. I handed Elise the car keys. "Look," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I didn't ask for this, but rules are rules. I'm with Miss Vaughn for the next 12 hours, maybe more. You've got the car. I'll see you tomorrow." Lena and I danced all night, her whispers sharp and playful, always with a bite. Every now and then, I'd catch Elise staring, eyes glassy, lips trembling, like her world had flipped upside down. Eventually, Lena looped her arm through mine, pulling me close. Without a word, we left. A limo waited outside. She slid in first, patting the seat beside her like we were stepping into a new scene. We hit a private nightclub in downtown Seattle first, small, exclusive, packed with Hollywood types. We danced, sipped drinks, then she took me to a late-night screening of some artsy indie flick in Bellevue. The movie was forgettable, but the talk afterward with the director and a few actors was surprisingly real. Later, the limo cruised toward a grittier part of Tacoma. "I grew up here," Lena said, her voice softer. She pointed to a small street. "That house with the porch light still on. That was mine. Cole lived across the way." We didn't say much after that. It was nearly 3 a.m. when we pulled up to one of her places, a sprawling penthouse in the hills outside Seattle. She mentioned she owned 6 properties: San Francisco, Chicago, Austin, 1 in Asia, 1 in Africa. This one was massive, 3 floors, big enough for a dozen people. Inside, she poured us drinks, and we sank into a plush couch in her office. I let out a low chuckle. "Wish I had a camera for Elise's face when you kissed me. Priceless." Lena sat close, her hand resting on my knee, not flirty, just familiar. "Mason," she said softly, "did Elise ever convince you nothing happened?" I stared at the floor. "She tried. Part of me wants to buy it, but there's this other part that keeps me up at night, screaming I'll never know for sure. It's eating me alive." Her smile faded. "I'm almost certain Cole crossed the line with her," she said, voice low. "Whatever we're doing tonight, I call it even." Then she leaned in and kissed me, slow, deliberate, real. Not a performance, not revenge. I didn't pull back. What happened wasn't about anger or settling scores. It was 2 people, bruised and broken, trying to claw back something stolen, maybe dignity, maybe control, maybe something deeper we weren't ready to name. We didn't talk much after. Words weren't needed. There was warmth, closeness, a moment where the betrayal faded just enough to let us breathe. We fell asleep, tangled together, no guilt, no shame, just peace. When I woke, Lena was up, brushing her fingers along my arm with a playful grin. "Your wife didn't call," she said, stretching. "No rush." We showered together, and she whipped up coffee and something close to breakfast while we waited for the limo. In that quiet morning, something settled in me, just a small piece clicking into place. When I walked into our house in Salem, Elise was curled up on the living room couch, eyes red from crying. "I didn't think you'd come back," she whispered. "The internet's going nuts. Everyone's talking about Lena Vaughn dropping $100,000 on you." I kept telling myself it was just for show, but the way she looked at you. "I don't know, maybe it wasn't." She looked up, searching my face. "Is there still an us?" I sat across from her, silent for a moment. "First off, nothing happened," I said, my voice steady but not entirely honest. The real damage had gone down long before last night. Elise searched my face, part scared, part hopeful. "Lena's my client," I went on. "She gave me those gala tickets. She thought Cole's stunt deserved a response. That $100,000 bid? It was her annual charity donation, just louder this time to make a point." I held her gaze. "If you're serious about fixing this, we can try. But it's gonna be hard, and I'm not carrying it alone. It's therapy. It's true. It's work. You in, I'm in." Elise threw her arms around me, kissing me with a kind of raw sincerity, no heat, no desperation, just 2 people trying to piece their world back together. Later, we made love, not wild or frantic, but quiet, real, something we both needed. That afternoon, I napped until the girls tackled me on the bed, giggling and shouting, "Wake up, Daddy." We had dinner at home in Salem, nothing fancy, just the four of us. When the girls finally crashed, Elise and I sat on the back porch, hands clasped in the dark. For the first time in forever, I started to believe we might actually pull through. We found a therapist, Carla, in Eugene. She was tough, no nonsense, not the touchy-feely type I'd expected. I figured a woman therapist would side with Elise, but Carla didn't play favorites. She called Elise out more than I thought she would, saying, "You were already checking out of the marriage. Affair or not, you made choices. Intent matters." She was right. What Carla didn't know was that I'd been pulling strings the whole time, the gala, the plan with Lena, all of it. Still, therapy helped more than I expected. Funny thing, though, since that whole mess, Elise can't stand movies anymore. Won't step foot in a theater, won't stream anything unless the girls beg for animated stuff. Even then, she's just going through the motions. As for Trevor and Quinn, I dropped the charges against her. Told the DA she was probably just defending her husband. But Trevor? I let that ride. He got 3 months in county jail. Safe to say, they're not in our circle anymore. Elise cut Quinn off completely after a nasty blowout. Elise blames her for nearly tanking our marriage. I don't quite follow the logic, but I'm not arguing. As for Cole and Lena, they tied the knot in what the tabloids called the wedding of the decade. Over 1,000 guests, A-list everything, held at a sprawling estate outside San Francisco. If you weren't invited, you were nobody in Hollywood. Spoiler, we weren't on the list. Still, I sent Cole a gift, a massive pair of steer horns, real ones, with a handwritten note, "Stay away from my wife, I'll stay away from yours." Yeah, I was still pissed when I sent it, thought I was clever. Lena told me later that Cole laughed, framed the note, and mounted the horns in his office. Typical Cole. But their fairy tale didn't last. Hollywood being Hollywood, it fell apart within a year. Lena caught him messing around again, married women, naturally. She walked away, just like she said she would. No big drama, no public meltdown. They stayed friends, but I know it broke her. She loved him, deep down. I saw it in how she talked about him, how real their connection was. But even that couldn't survive his need for chaos. Lena's still my client, though. When we opened her investment account, she dropped $1 million in, no hesitation. I figured she'd pull it after the gala stunt, but she didn't. When it hit 1.5 million, she added another 2. We don't meet in person anymore, not since that morning after the gala, but we talk, quarterly for business, sometimes more. Some calls are strictly numbers, others, we just chat about life, regrets, the way people let you down. Lena's sharp, careful with her money for someone who lives in penthouses and jets off to places like Tokyo or Sydney. I don't know much about her personal life these days, but when we talk, we spend 20 minutes on her portfolio and an hour catching up. Once, during a call after her divorce, she said, "You know, I should have ditched Cole and kept you." I laughed. Come on, Lena, we're from different galaxies. She didn't miss a beat. Doesn't mean I'm not keeping tabs on you. If you ever end up single, I'm coming for you, no games. She said it like a joke, but I think she half meant it. Either way, it's a nice thought to tuck away. As for Elise and me, we're closing in on 10 years. We've hit rough spots, some nearly broke us, but we're still here. Looking back, I know if Lena hadn't stepped in, I'd have walked away. But she did, and I stayed. Now, I can't imagine life without Elise. Oh, and one more thing, she's pregnant. A boy. I can't wait to meet him.